Hi, my name's Nicholas Oulton, and I am the author of a load of Galore Park Latin books. I set up Galore Park back in 1998, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what you can do to help if you've got a child who is doing Latin at school. Latin is one of those things, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I taught for many, many years, and I remember having a conversation with one parent, one of my heroes actually, the legendary Chelsea and England midfielder Butch Wilkins. I was teaching his daughter at the time, and his views on Latin did not quite accord with mine. You know, what's the point of Latin, my friend, was his attitude. And of course I disagreed. So when I'm trying to explain either to a child or indeed to a parent why Latin is such a wonderful thing for us to learn, for pupils to learn at school, I tend to concentrate on the excitement and the sense of wonder that is achieved by looking at an ancient language which has been around for 2, 3, 4,000 years in various forms and is still at the heart, I would say, of Western education. The joy it gives even, a real beginner in Latin to go around a church or a museum and see a little Latin phrase on a monument or a gravestone or a plaque somewhere and recognise the Latin that they've already started learning. I mean, it's a wonderful little code. And there is a slight sense that, those who know it, and those who don't. And I always think there's something a little bit special about knowing something that not everyone knows. But of course, to do well in Latin at school, there are things you've got to get right. As with anything, there are skills you need to learn, and it is worth concentrating on how to refine those skills, because one's enjoyment in doing anything is significantly enhanced if you get reasonably good at doing it. So I've just got a couple of tips I'd like to pass on about doing well in Latin. I could talk about this forever. I run a YouTube channel called So You Really Want to Learn Latin, which is all about how to do well in Latin. But there are some little tips which I think you might want to just think about, maybe pass on to a child in your family who's doing Latin and needs to do well. And 3 or 4 things I would really focus on. First one, common sense. Use common sense. Now, this is absolutely not the same as saying just guess. I hate guesswork when it comes to Latin, because actually in Latin you don't need to guess. The rules are so clear you really don't need to guess. You can work it out properly. But having said that, use common sense. People writing in Latin were trying to express what they were trying to express. They weren't trying to trip you up and trick you and get you to lose marks. So just remember that when you see a Latin sentence, whoever wrote that Latin sentence was simply trying to say something and would like you to understand what they were saying. Second tip, it sort of follows on from the common sense one, always look for the similarities between Latin and English. Vocabulary is a very good example. So many English words are derived from Latin ones that when you see a passage of Latin, you shouldn't just think, goodness, that's all foreign, because word after word after word, with a little bit of care, is recognizable as a word that the English has come from the Latin. The word paternal clearly comes from pater. The word annual clearly comes from annus. The word hostile comes from hostis. I could go on and on and on. And so when you're looking at Latin sentences, many of the words are recognizable as being, connected with English ones. So The learning of vocabulary to do well in exams is actually, much easier than it might be, because normally when you learn a Latin word, you can, as well as learning what it means, what it actually means, is you can learn the English word that is similar to it and has come from it. Third little tip, always think about the differences between English and Latin. Now, there are some key differences. The most important, I would say, is that in Latin, the verb tends to come at the end of the sentence. Now, once you know that, and you're taught that early on, the verb comes at the end, you just have to change the way you read a sentence. In English, you read it in the order that the words come, and the verb tends to come roughly in the middle, because, Peter is reading a book. You've got Peter doing the reading, and in the middle it tells us what Peter is doing. He is reading. And then later, well, what is he reading? In Latin, it's not like that, but it's not significantly different. The major change is that the verb comes at the end. And so I would always teach people trying to read a Latin sentence, look at the verb first. The verb tells us what is going on, but very, very importantly, by looking at the ending of the verb, you can see who is doing it and when. So the person and the tense are given in the ending of the verb. And that is a significant difference to English. English verbs, don't really do that. Latin ones do. And so that difference, once you've got it nailed, just change your way of reading. Latin sentences, go to the end of the sentence first and find out what is going on, who is doing it, and when they're doing it. Another thing about Latin which is different to English is that nouns, they have endings too. And so finding out whether a noun is the subject of the sentence or the object of the sentence or some other part in the sentence, like sort of maybe of that noun or to that noun or with or by or from that noun, that job that the noun is doing in the sentence is given by the ending. In English, we maybe add an S to make the word plural. That's about it. Latin, they add endings. 6 singular endings, 6 plural endings. And so my final tip for success in Latin is learn the grammar properly. Okay? You because of the way Latin works, you can't shortcut that. You have to know the endings that go on your nouns and the endings that go on your verbs. It's like learning your multiplication tables in maths. If you don't learn your tables, you simply can't do maths. If you don't learn your endings in Latin, you can't do Latin. Okay? So that's simple, and I say that's simple because actually anyone can help someone learn Latin endings, because the person learning the Latin learns the endings, amo, amas, amat, amamus, amatis, amant, and your job, if you're helping, is simply to hold the book and check they're getting those right. Whether you understand them or not is irrelevant. You're just checking they're saying what they have learnt. Okay? So my advice when, wondering how to help a child who's learning Latin would simply be to really enthuse about what a great privilege it is for them to be learning Latin. This is a subject that has been studied at school for hundreds and hundreds of years by the most educated people in the Western world. I mean, what a great privilege to still be able to do that in 2020. And Galore Park has got loads of books to help you with that. I started the whole thing with So You Really Want to Learn Latin back in 1998. But we've been churning out resources for Latin pretty much ever since. If you're doing the Common Entrance exam or any entrance exam into a senior school, there's a great range of books specifically for Common Entrance, but which go through the syllabus, and all entrance exam requirements are similar, as I know you know. Depending on the level of Latin, there's a book 1, a book 2, a book 3, if we're getting really complicated. And that, lays out all the grammar that they need to know, and it's got loads and loads of practice exercises and translation passages and so on. When you come to revising for an exam, the ISEB Revision Guide has got it all, level by level, all the grammar they need, all the vocabulary they need, and actually also all the mythology they need to know, and the Roman history and the features of Roman life. And for a little bit more detail on that, we did a wonderful book called Greeks and Romans, which tells you all you need to know about the sort of material that you are tested on in an exam. So I hope that's helpful. I love Latin, and I don't care who knows it. Your job, if you're helping someone to do well in Latin, is simply to enthuse about it on their behalf. And with any luck, the magic will click in and they'll do well. I'm sure they will, and good luck with that.